But reducing it down to what affects paid teachers and having student services, that is primarily tuition and state funds.
It does not get better.
Now there are efforts being made to increase private giving from alumni and from other sources.
But again, we're addressing the democratization of the 12-year terms, for example. Like how democratic do you think that is?
Well,
we didn't elect you off.
Well, this is set up by the state. This is set up in the Constitution. The 12-year terms, as I understand it, are intended to make sure that no one governor can be appointing all of the regions. And there are some regions who are in an ex officio role, who are there because it's the lieutenant governor or the governor.
Oh, the students are coming out. The representative? Yeah.
You looking to talk to them too?
Is Mark Udoff still in that building?
Yes, he is.
Do you know when the meeting will be over?
I don't have the exact time. Later this afternoon.
Well, can you give us a roundabout time? Because actually, see, it's nice to speak to you, but
sure.
He's here to work for us, and he should be he should be desirous of hearing what our desire of what our needs are.
Well, I mean,
he should be desirous.
He met with students just a few days ago.
Well, then he should meet. His job is to meet with students whenever they need to, and we need to speak to them.
We only want like 15 minutes of his time.
Yeah.
Transparency.
Well, excuse us.
I'm sorry.
Not just him.
Well, excuse all of us. We were talking to.
I'm sorry, Mr. Right. Show me what a blue state looks like. This is what a blue state.
We're the lower class. We're on the bottom of the hierarchy.
You don't talk to us.
Did you hear what he said?
Just regurgitating website bullshit.
Shit, I was like,
Okay, lay off UDA!
Lay off UDA!
Lay off UDA!
Lay off UDA! I have a question.
Okay.
If the regions enact policy that touches everybody here equally, and they speak for those that their policy touches, how can they speak on behalf of the silent? How can they speak for those that they're not even willing to give a chance to listen to, not even use what we're saying, or not even really take it to heart, but not even just hear it? We don't even have the option. I mean, it's almost as if it's like the UC system has translated itself into some type of a communist society with this monarchy at the top, like smashing every negative part of every terrible political or type of governance possible. And then we have this situation. I mean, it's almost as if it's such a huge separation, like the separation between the wealthy and the poor, where you guys are just kind of elevated on top, and we're attempting to reach up and attempting to ask, well, won't you even listen? But all we're getting is shut down, and granted, you are a representative, and that's really wonderful, but at the same time, the likelihood that you're going to translate our message to that person who really needs to hear it, that has the power to do anything, is nil.
I have a question for you, too. Do you know how much money Richard Blum has made by directing UC investments into his own pocket? You know?
Well,
Give me a figure.
Yeah, I could tell you this, that assertion is based on faulty reporting. Faulty reporting.
Up to $70 million by directing UC investments.
Oh my God! Wow.
70 million.
Wait, can you repeat that?
70 million.
Yeah, that's
not true.
these things have been refuted. If you give me an email, I'll send you all the information that refutes that.
Can you just tell us now?
What's that?
Can you just tell us now if it's true, not true, and if it's not true, and how much money if it's not 70?
It's not true.
So those reporters are all lying.
It's not those reporters. I think it's one reporter.
One reporter was lying.
He had inaccurate reporting. Absolutely.
So Richard Blum did not make any money at all by directing UC investments.
He doesn't direct UC investments. The way that UC investments are set up by policy and overseen by the Office of the General Counsel, is that the only, it's the Treasurer's Office that makes decisions on specific investments.
Why is the
There's a
UC,
lot
why
of
is the
backstabbing
UCSD
going
playing
on.
the
And the
market in
regents
the
only
first
set up
place?
policy, but
But you're confidently
Why are
saying
they
he
playing
made
the market with our
$0
tuition?
Occupied land.
that's right,
Kootenai
that's
He
land.
made
right.
zero.
That's right.
Okay, we'll fact check it and we'll find out.
I have a question. Kind of going back to what you were saying about why you're deciding to have these fee increases, or why it was a framework, or why it was even proposed. Were you saying that you were using it to threaten the state to show them what will happen if they cut back their funding? Is that what you were saying? Because it really sounded like
Yeah,
that's what
no,
you were saying.
I wasn't saying that. If you look at the whole, the whole item, which is available on the website, what you'll see is a framework that showed that with a certain amount of increase in state funding from where it is now, which is the lowest since it's been since the late 90s, that what else would be required to make up the budget gap over the next few years. $1 billion of that gap would be made up by cuts, by administrative efficiencies, by alternative revenue sources, and some would have to be made up by tuition. And if the state had no increases in state funding, that's where the 16% was. So it was meant to illustrate, it wasn't to threaten, but to show what the consequences are when state funding is cut. Now, there are other options. Other options include reducing enrollment, which UC has resisted. Cal State has had to reduce enrollment. I think that they've had more problems also with having students not be able to get classes and so forth. We'd like to increase enrollment. We would like to see enrollment grow by another 20,000. But we can't do it because of state funding. These are large amounts of money, and it's very difficult to replace $1 billion in state funding. So, okay, so they've cut it, and we're down to a new low. At least give us some stability, some predictability in the funding. Make a commitment that will help us plan, will help students and their families plan.
But I think that you've showed us, like all the things that you've said right now, has basically proved to us that institutionally, the UC Regents could never have our interests at heart. What about the
I don't agree with that conclusion.
$2 billion.
But how could you not agree with that if they're not even willing to take a conference with us? To take a
Yeah, if
meeting,
he's not
even
coming
with an
out here right
individual?
now, then that's proof of the statement. The fact that you're here instead of him.
Devoid of responsibility or a version of it.
Did Mark handpick you to come down here?
No, he didn't.
I have a question.
You guys came and said,
Are the Regents concerned that the anthropology department?
Somebody to talk to us.
Are the Regents concerned that the anthropology department still refuses to give back Kootenai loans?
Can you give me more background on that?
So you, as the representative, have no idea.
I have some idea. But my understanding was, you're talking about on the land where the...
I'm talking about the Kootenai remains that the anthropology department possesses and that have been demanded to be returned since we're occupying Kootenai land.
That's artifacts. Look at this.
What I know about that is I think that just, whatever resolution is left up to UC San Diego, each of the campuses has a lot of autonomy, and that's as much as I know.
So that was a non-answer. Okay.
Hey, I tell
a
you,
question.
my knowledge is
I have a
limited.
question. How come we're invested in companies through the retirement and the endowment fund and the S&P 500 that repeatedly and ongoingly violate human rights abroad, as recorded by the United Nations and other entities? How come we're invested in those? It's not enough to oppress us. We have to oppress other people abroad too.
Well, this isn't about oppressing.
It's about killing innocent civilians abroad.
Well, a lot of the funds where their investments are broad funds that have a number of holdings. And
Yes, we're actually invested. I can explain to you. We're invested in indexes, which have various companies, and what we can do is we can modify those indexes to whichever companies that we would like to be invested in, which is weird because we didn't do that when it was released that these companies violate human rights.
Well, the primary responsibility of investments is to protect the investments that are going to the retirement fund and go to the universities.
But the retirement funds are being cut, like the people's pensions are being cut, the workers.
And also UCSD.
Here's what's happening.